When I was a youth, elementary school, we started playing baseball for the park. And at school, everybody was talking about going to play football. And so in the 3rd grade, we started playing with the Packers. And that's where I met probably half the team I graduated with. Growing up, my dad was a role model, really put a work ethic in me. I watched how he worked, and he worked to make sure we could play sports. He worked to make sure all that would happen. He would work all week, and if we played on a Saturday, he was there at every game, never missed a high school game, coached all the little league football he could. He put a work ethic in me, and still look back and see it today and try to live by that today. Growing up on Friday nights, everybody went to the high school football games. As a kid, you played football behind the home stadium, behind the bleachers. And as you got older and were more involved in football yourself, you started paying more attention to the games. Then you started knowing the players' names and really watching. And at that age, that was just the coolest thing you could do, was be a Denham Springs Yellow Jacket. And that's what we all strive to be. And it was, we talk about it now, and it wasn't a question of if we would make it, it was when we were going to be there. And so it started at a young age, and I think it was a way of life. Some of the happiest memories are the friendships we made. After every film day, after Saturday morning film, we would go to Miles's house, Miles Holyfield, and eat breakfast. Miss Sheila would make breakfast for all of us. Coach Terry was there 99% of the time with us, and that was always interesting, recapping Friday and getting ready for the next week. The other is the films, Big D, letting everybody know how they did, and the way he let you know how you did. It was always comical, and that we would grade the game on how Big D did on Saturday morning. One of my fondest memories was, everybody knows Big D liked to run a 24 lead, and I would double down with Mike Laporte on the tackle. Mike Laporte could be a beast, and if he didn't want to block or he didn't have the go in him, it was rough. And I made him mad on the field, and he turned around and wanted to hit me, and Big D was getting all upset, and I'm like, Big D, we got it, 24 lead all night. And he was like, good, go ahead, we're good. And so that was a great memory. Chris Lee moved in, and we weren't sure what he could do. I'm sure the coaches knew exactly what he could do. And he starts throwing the ball. And Big D wanted to run the ball. He was all about off tackle, maybe a sweep. And then Coach Terry wanted to throw the ball. He was more into the receivers and working with the receivers, the importance of routes, the importance of working with your hands and training. And somewhere in the middle, Coach Wax found a medium for us. Chris Lee would throw it, and if Billy Ross said it best in one of his news articles, that if I wasn't open, he would just dump it to Cole. And that's what we did, and it worked for us. I can't remember if it was Bel Air. I think it was Bel Air we were playing, and we had run the ball a lot that night, and they had shut that 24 lead down. Jamie Walker comes in the ball game, and he looks at me, he said, can y'all cut that end off? And Coach Wax had called a 24 lead. He said, can y'all cut the end off? Me and Mike said, we got this side. He said, you want to run the sweep? I said, we got to do something different. We hadn't scored a first down all night. Chris Lee looks at us, he's like, oh no. And he's nervous as a cat. His eyes are big and his feet are moving. Jamie looks at everybody and says, 22 sweep on one. Chris Lee's looking like, what are y'all doing? He says, we're running 22 sweep. And he says, oh goodness. So he just went with it. And we sprung it for about 15 yards and got the first down. But there was a timeout called, and we all went to the sideline immediately and were questioned, what are y'all doing? We said, Coach, we had to do something different. We hadn't got a first down all night. They let us know real fast that we better not do that often, and we better make sure we get a first down if we pull a stunt like that. Another fond memory was that we talk about to this day, a lot of the old players, is the work hard and have fun. It seems like if it was two-a-days, we had fun at the morning practice, the afternoon practice, and at Poncho's eating lunch. We could be working hard. We could have to run extra wind sprints for whatever reason. We were still laughing. Stevie Davis and Lynn Zachary were still on the end saying, "We got more in us," and we would laugh and run them. And it didn't matter what we had to do. We had fun doing it, and that was a fond memory of the whole thing. And looking back and seeing how that can go on into life. No matter what you're doing, you can have fun and be good at it. My senior year, as everything was wrapping up, we started watching the paper for the all-district and stuff like that. And so when that came out and I saw my name on it, I was excited, and that was great. That was a lot of fun. Excited to be on that list because that meant something. Never really thought I had a chance at an all-state, didn't think about it until I walked in the office one morning, and Coach Wax is sitting on the counter and says, "Hey, you made all-state." And I remember thinking, "Oh, you're joking. This isn't real. It's not true." And he says, "No, I'm serious. You did." And so then it kind of started to sink in, and that was a great honor. That was a good day. I was excited. Being all-state was also going to be hard to come by in the offense we ran the previous year. Chris Lee coming, opening up our passing game, he created the opportunity for me to catch those 41 passes. And so there's a big thanks to him for getting me there also. Got out of high school and went over and visited Delta State and ended up going. When I got there, realized college football, that's definitely a business, and got involved in it, was having fun. Eventually I realized I was too small for tight end, and I was a step too slow for the other receivers to cut off of me and so forth. And I had a good time. It was a great experience. I left after 2 years. The Denham Springs Athletic Association Hall of Fame, to be nominated was a great honor. I wasn't really sure it was going to happen, and when I got the phone call that it did happen, there again, it's a lot of excitement, a lot of joy, something to be proud of. We all try to be the best at what we do, and we worked really hard, and to be recognized and noticed at this level, it's a great honor and something to be proud of, and proud and glad to be a part of the Denham Springs Athletic Association Hall of Fame. I'd like to thank all the coaching staff of that day, but because we came from a running offense, we had Chris Lee brought in, a coaching staff that swapped over to a run-pass offense. Coach Terry working with us on the routes and the hands. Billy Ross was there, I was there, Chris Lee was there. We led a lot of the passing game. There were other people involved also. David Roddy, Leroy Toney running the ball. That was another aspect of it. That opened up the pass. If you don't have a running game, you don't have a passing game. If you don't have a passing game, you don't have a running game. So we did it for each other. Jamie Walker leading the defense on the other side of the ball. It was two sides of the ball and a whole team that put me here, and I'd like to thank the coaching staff and everybody that played on that team. I'd also like to thank my parents for hauling me all around, hauling me to all the Pee Wee football games, making sure we were at all the practices, keeping everything lined out for that aspect. I'd like to thank the selection committee for voting on me, thinking I was worthy of it.